Japanese restaurant or just this part?
Just this part, but we took the responsibility on the whole building to paint the whole building. Now we're painting the whole building. We're putting the awnings up. We're not responsible for them to replace their awnings or take down their neons or whatever it is that they're going to do. That'll have to be handled by the city. We're not taking responsibility for that. Okay, Kathy. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh, Councilman.
You know, I have to tell you that, well, first of all, this is not like we're not physically in my council district, but for those of you who recall, I was deeply involved in the early and mid-90s in attempting to get Lundys reopened, feeling, as many of you do, that it was an important thing for Emmons Avenue and Sheepshead Bay, an important thing for Brooklyn. And I am as disappointed as anybody that the subsequent operators after TAM ran the place into the ground and made it utterly impossible for Lundys to continue to exist. I think I'm disappointed on an emotional basis that we're sitting here tonight and we're not talking about the reopening of Lundys with an operator that that would make a go of the traditional Lundys the way we all remember it. I am also, as always, disappointed in the Landmarks Preservation Commission that seems to treat the outer boroughs as a stepsister to Manhattan at every turn. And it is something that we bring up at City Hall every time someone is appointed to the Landmarks Preservation Commission, and they promise every time that that won't be the case while on their watch, and it's just not true. I guarantee you, if this building were on Fifth Avenue in Manhattan, there wouldn't be a violation of any part of the code whatsoever. They'd be on it like white on rice, and we'd probably have a seafood restaurant here. So, you know, that's all kind of an emotional reaction to this. Beyond that, I'm a little, I don't know what to say. You know, clearly having an empty building here does nobody any good. And, you know, to the extent that, you know, this operator, you know, may make a successful business out of this, that's good for Sheepshead Bay, it's good for my part of Sheepshead Bay and your part of Sheepshead Bay. But we have to, I think, he has to be extraordinarily mindful of not changing the character of this building, and I prefer he not change it inside or outside. And, you know, I think you can, you know, the facility here, you know, is suitable for what he wants to do if it's legal, and, you know, it sounds to me like it might be. The law is always written for a little flexibility. So you know, I just kind of came here tonight to hear what he had to say and what everyone else had to say. So the only other thing I will mention to you, totally on a separate topic, I have some of my newsletters on the counter in the back. There's a reference in that newsletter to money that I've delivered for parks. And a particular note that might be of interest to everyone here about Brigham Park. And it is clearly my hope that we will be able to, over the next few years, be able to cobble together from amongst all our elected officials the opportunity to get that park off the ground. And I look forward to working with you to sit down with the Parks Department, get a scope with the City Parks Foundation, and get a scope and see what we can do that is practical for that park. Since I am hoping to be here for another few years.
One other thing, I also was a friend of Irving Lundy. All right, everybody calls him a different name. His full name was Frederick Irving William Lewis Lundy. And everybody called him something else. He had us calling him Uncle Irving. And he ran the restaurant where everyone got a large meal, great service, white glove service, everything was special, and the prices were good. Because that was his tax shelter. That was his tax loss that made up for everything else that he had. So nobody is going to come in here and run a restaurant to the level and quality that he did for the prices that he did. Unless you have the big multi-millionaire who's looking for a tax shelter and can come and do the same thing. So that's another thing to remember as far as the seafood restaurant and everything else that was in here. It was a tax write-off.
And who needs those anymore?
Right. Okay. I want to make sure we get everybody in here. I have Mitchell Partnow from Senator Carl Kruger's office.
No pressure. Senator Kruger couldn't be here tonight, but he prepared a brief statement. I'm sorry that I can't be with you tonight, but I'm up in Albany working on the new state budget. The first thing I want to make clear is that the issue of the former Lundys site is not a personal one. We cannot pick and choose what to enforce and what not to enforce. We do not have the authority, right, or power to modify or change anything codified in the zoning text. We cannot stand idly by while a developer, in the name of improvement, whether it means redoing the sidewalk, removing the signage, drilling holes, or repairing the facade, does so without the approval of the Landmarks Commission. The Landmarks Commission enforces the rules, not us, not the community board, not the civics, but the Landmarks Commission. We all patted ourselves on the back when we won our long fight, the fight that people in this room remember very well, that resulted in a zoning regulation called the Special Sheepshead Bay District. Under the rules of the special district, no retail food establishment may operate here, no matter how it is masked. No retail food products may be sold here. Now it is a question of abiding by these zoning regulations, and that's an important question. It seems to me that once we chip away at the special district by allowing one retail food establishment to operate, we then open the door for another business that doesn't quite fit the parameters, and then another, and then another. And then one day we'll all look around and ask ourselves, what happened to the Sheepshead Bay we were trying to preserve? The answer is that it will all be gone, and we'll have nothing but pictures to show our grandchildren. In these tough times, we shouldn't lose sight of the broader picture. We must urge the property owners to work with any prospective tenants regarding the special district. But we should never give up on the precious bit of Sheepshead Bay, our quaint fishing village. We must embrace it, tout it, and look closely at the snapshot of what it means. Together we can weather any storm, and at the end of the day, we must stand tall against unscrupulous developers that look to dismantle all that we have fought for. Thank you.
There was never anything there.
Are we going to comment in between, or are we going to wait till the end?
Why, what's the matter?
I just wanted to know if you're going to comment in between or wait till the end.
We have Anthony Testaverde from Senator Marty Golden's office.
Stop being a lawyer.
Hey everybody.
Hi, Anthony.
The senator's up in Albany, sorry couldn't join you. He's fighting really hard with the new majority to maintain the funds that he had got in the past for grants that were issued to certain groups. The new majority seemed to put a freeze on that, you know, where they're not releasing the money so fast to the old majority. So he's up there fighting hard for that to happen. Listening to your meeting here, I happen to agree with Councilman Kruger. It's important that we, try to maintain the status of landlocked. And but this building's been here a long time. I'm living here about 35 years, close by. It's been here a long time, and I loved when it was Lundys, and even when I came here recently. But I've seen the outside of the building, as long as it maintains that look. Inside here, I noticed that shelves were in, the walls are still maintained the same, the staircase and everything is basically here. It's been decorated a little more, some frieze has been put in, and the community does need the business. I mean, Sheepshead Bay, Emmons Avenue, isn't it the Emmons Avenue of 10 years ago? So maybe this will, generate more business in these economic times. That small business is what's going to wind up carrying this country, carrying this city. So, that's my feeling on it. I hope it works out.
We have Badia from